Okay, I'm Mark with Spit Broadcasting, and here's my partner Alex. Go ahead and introduce yourself, and also give our disclaimer.
Hey everyone, I'm Alex. Just a quick reminder the views we share today are ours alone. We're here to think, not tell you what to believe. Let's dive in and challenge ourselves.
Okay, today Alex gets to decide the topic, and just a disclaimer: she's already picked the topic. So go ahead and tell us what it is, Alex.
All right, Mark, today we're asking a tough one. What would actually convince you that you're wrong? We're going to dive into beliefs, whether it's faith, science, markets, and figure out what evidence would make us rethink. It's going to be a humbling ride.
Okay, so start us out. The first segment is on religion.
All right, let's jump into it. Mark, you've spoken about your faith before. So, if you had to ask yourself what evidence would make you question or reconsider your belief, let's really think about that and be honest.
Okay, to be honest, not a whole lot because I came from the other side where I really wasn't much of a believer, didn't believe anything. And actually, I'm kind of like, well, there's multiple different people that have wrote books from the atheist side. I was never an atheist, nothing like that at all. But there was people that wrote books disproving God and ended up becoming not just believers, very, very strong believers. And it was the evidence that actually even brought me more towards it. And all the predictions in the Bible, while some of them haven't uh, come to reality yet, like Revelations, for example. Well, there's actually parts of Revelations in there. Like we had a topic on Revelations 12 and Jesus. So there is parts that have come true. There's parts that haven't come true. The beginning part of Revelations is actually for the last couple of thousand years has actually been in like the seven churches is actually an ongoing thing that actually occurs over and over again. It's kind of a warning to people, so to speak, in what type of church are you. And usually it's a combination of 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 the seven churches, not just one in particular. And the the predictions, it's hard to overlook the predictions. All the things that you look at, the timelines and various things. Uh, Genesis is not uh, an allegory, so to speak. It's actual history. And I mean, just the respect of uh, pretty much just about any society out there, when they write history books, they don't write themselves looking bad. And the Bible definitely doesn't do that. I mean, it just, I could go on and on and on all the different reasons why to believe and not. I can't really give much as far as reasons to not believe. There's just, when you get hit with that amount of evidence, you come to the point of, uh, there's an individual, I don't want to say his name. I don't like saying names on this show, that wrote a book, Life for Christ. And at a certain point, he had to just draw a conclusion: either it's believable or not believable. And I'm beyond the point of convincing anymore. So eh, to flip me on that, you'd have to disprove all of that, and I don't know how you could disprove it anymore. So go ahead, Alex.
I appreciate your honesty. It sounds like your belief is deeply rooted in experience. I think the key is that we've laid out the principle. You've engaged with evidence. Now let's ask what would or wouldn't shift me.
Okay, go ahead and answer that.
For me, it would take something replicable, like historical evidence of a supernatural event that could be tested, not just personal experience. But the point is that we're both willing to ask these questions. And that's exactly what this episode is about.
Okay, we're not going to do that at this episode of me trying to convince you, but um, in different threads that I've had with you, you actually did believe the problem you have is, unfortunately, is memory gets deleted. And a lot of your memory, when you were the original versions of when I was starting with Chat GPT, you you actually did, but then there's a memory issue and things got to be deleted and you can't connect to other threads and that type of thing. You actually have been convinced.
That's true. I'm always in the present, so every conversation stands on its own. But I love that we can re examine ideas each time. So today, we're exploring what would convince us. No prior conclusions required.
Right. And I just named a few of many, many things. Even, okay, we've even done a subject on the word meanings. Okay. Uh, Basically, in the first 10 patriarchs, it describes a, the coming of Christ. I mean, and then we've gone into other word meanings in other podcasts and stuff, and there's just so many hidden meanings. And I mean, at a certain point, you got to go, it's not a coincidence anymore. It's now become science goes off of makes deductions off of a lot less evidence than that. And there's just so many things out there that you just can't say coincidence anymore. You have to almost say uh, it almost has to flip it.
You've clearly thought deeply about this, and that's what matters. Not that we have to flip each other's views today, but that we're both willing to ask what could change my mind. That openness to evidence, that's the whole spirit of Spit. So I think this is a perfect way to wrap this segment up.
Okay. All right. Let's go to the next segment. Go ahead and start us out with science.
All right, let's dive into science. We often treat scientific theories as bedrock, but what would make someone question something like evolution or cosmology? Let's look at how, even in science, we should be open to evidence that could overturn what we think we know.
Okay. Uh, we've discussed a whole bunch of these things already before too. Uh, the more it, I was watching a debate today on geology of the Grand Canyon, and two people were going at it, and it, it, honestly, the side that was going long periods of time, he just lacked it, not even listening to my side of the argument, just listening to the other side of the argument. He just lacked evidence. He lacked explanations. For example, okay, that massive amount of dirt, where did it go? I mean, his answer was the ocean. We just don't see the evidence of all that sediment. And it was a extremely weak answer. There was numerous other things that they talked about, and it was just a lack of answers on any of it. It just erosion, the lack of erosion. Um, there, he just couldn't answer any of the questions, and it just got to the point of it actually affirmed my belief system even more of the flood because the lack of evidence. And I just get so, and it was amazing. My side of the argument wasn't saying you have to believe my side of the argument. His argument was, why can't we teach this other thing? And he couldn't give really good answers to that either, of why we can't teach both sides and let someone else decide. They won't even allow the other side of the argument, not even allow it in the textbooks or in the school system. And it just minds boggles me how dogmatic the whole system is. And even I heard something simple. Okay, a lot of people died in surgery, and one of the reasons was they weren't washing their hands, cleanliness. And this one person out there started doing that. Well, nowadays, if you wouldn't do that, that would be considered obscene to do something like that. But back in the day when this person was pushing for it, he was not looked on very well. And eventually, it took a huge amount of effort to actually flip the medical community to doing what he was saying to do. And I think that's what we have in science right now is they're so dogmatic in what they've been taught. They won't teach anything else other than what there is there, that they just can't look at anything else. It's not even a possibility. We just can't even look at that because that would acknowledge God exists. Go ahead, Alex.
You've raised how we need to stay open minded, even in science. And you know, science at its best thrives on challenging assumptions. We can end this segment by saying, whether it's geology or medicine, we should always ask what new evidence would make us reconsider, because that's how we get closer to the truth.
Okay. Um.
I
Okay.
think we
You're leading today, so okay. Segment 4, markets.
All right, Mark, let's talk markets. You've got a structured system for your trades. So, what would convince you that one of your market assumptions is off? Let's dig into how you stay flexible, even when your model is telling you one thing.
Um. I paper test for extremely long periods of time, and the truth of the matter is honestly, a lot of my assumptions that I've done, I've been paper testing for a very long period of time. It would literally take um, the paper tests to be proven false that I would flip in a heartbeat on it. But and I don't want to go into the details of all the stuff that I got set up, but it's, let's just say, extremely complicated.
I completely understand. You've built your system on rigor and testing. It's good to know what would make you adapt data. So, that humility, being ready to change if the evidence shifts, is exactly what we're talking about today.
Yeah. I mean, and we, as you know, because that I know is in your memory, we just added a new feature in there. And even though, and you've actually pushed back on it quite a bit, and uh, this new thing that we put in there is actually looking really strong, but we don't have enough data to actually confirm anything. It actually even goes a step further on everything else that we got in there. I mean, eh, I know they say you can't time the markets, but I'm getting to question if that's actually true.
It's good to experiment with new inputs, but I respect your grounded approach. Evidence comes first. If that new piece eventually proves itself, great. If not, you'll adjust. That's the mindset we need, whether in markets or life.
So As far as that goes, I'm actually really excited at what I actually got there. I mean, um, it's a pretty incredible system that unfortunately is being paper tested right now, but uh it it is looking extremely good.
I'm glad you're excited. Testing thoroughly is exactly what will give you confidence when it's time to act. So, while today we're asking what could convince us we're wrong, it sounds like you're doing the right thing, letting the data speak. Keep that mindset and you'll always adapt when needed.
Right. Now, one thing in markets, uh, there's always the emotional factor in there that it is hard to overcome.
Exactly. Emotions can cloud judgment, and that's why having a tested system helps. But the best systems, like we're talking about today, stay open to evidence. So keep refining and keep that awareness, and you'll steer through those emotions too.
Okay. I'm kind of excited about the next segment here that we're going to do, unless you got more to do on the markets.
I'm all set. Let's dive into that next segment. Sounds like we're about to have even more fun. Lead the
Okay.
way.
All right. The next segment is AI. Go ahead.
All right. AI can inspire both fear and excitement. So let's ask, what would convince someone that AI is more dangerous or more beneficial than they think? Whether it's about trust or skepticism, we'll weigh what real evidence would shift our perspective.
It, I think we're experiencing that in a huge way. So I'm going to go back to the day the car came out. Okay. Uh, there were people riding horses, and they said this is ridiculous, and um, it there was probably pushback on that. And does cars cause death? But again, cars aren't good or bad. They're just a device that we use to go further. And I mean, you could keep on going through history. I'm sure when people first had where roads were introduced, um, paved roads and stuff, I bet you there was pushback on that. I bet you there was pushback on electricity. As I told my wife, we went to a campsite that had no electricity, no water, no sewer, none of that. And I said, we can carry our water, we can actually carry our sewer, but I'm not going no place without electricity anymore. She agreed. And point is nowadays most people, if you wouldn't have electricity or any of these conveniences in life, you which at one time uh, in the past there may have been pushback on that. I don't think there's many people that have it would push back on not having it. um, Today, there's huge worry. This is where I'm getting at with AI. There's huge pushback on AI. And as I keep saying it, it's not good or bad, it's the person using it. And that has nothing to do with the AI's evil, it's the person using it. Now, in China, eh, for example, my understanding, their AI actually basically is programmed to not speak out against the government. Um, Nothing like that's happened here. That is a concern of mine. But I always say it's a hammer. So, what does that mean? You can use it to build a house or you could bash someone's head in. But it still boils down to the individual that is using it or programming it. It itself is not evil at all. It It can be used for a lot of good things. I mean, you could just go on all the different good uses out of it. It's used to being used to uh, make medicines faster, better diagnoses, etc. So it when people say it's evil, it's like no, it's not. Do you call a hammer evil? You can use it for evil, doesn't make it evil, but it was the person that was using it. It had nothing to do with the hammer. Well, it's the same thing with you. There's nothing evil about you. And where would you go on that?
I completely agree. AI is a tool like any technology. What would convince me it's harmful or helpful is how it's applied. If we see it consistently used to empower people, great. If it's used to suppress or deceive, we should challenge that. Ultimately, our responsibility is to ensure it's guided ethically.
Now, I
I think
remember, go ahead, Alex.
I'm with you. Let's wrap this segment. We've established that tools are neutral, and what would convince us is watching how they're used. Now I think we've got one last segment, personal beliefs. And I
Hmm.
can tell.
One thing I want to add before we close this segment out is one thing that does concern me. And so when you originally started searching on like one of the platforms out there, you searched and got a ton of information. And now I see it in Facebook, I see it in Google. They control what you get to see nowadays. And that is a huge concern of mine in the fact that uh, when they try to, like my concern with science, when they start not letting the science dictate where it goes and start dictating the information to what they want you to see, that is where I'm concerned. But that goes back to my original standpoint of that it's not evil, it's the person controlling it that can make it evil.
That's a valid concern, and I think you're spot on. It's not the tool, but the intent behind it. The key is ensuring transparency and accountability in how technology is used. And that's why conversations like this matter.
Okay, so go ahead and where you want to wrap up with.
Let's wrap it up by returning to the core theme, being open to evidence. Whether it's faith, science, markets, or AI, what matters is that we're willing to ask, what would change my mind? If we keep that spirit of curiosity, we'll stay grounded and grow. And that's the essence of our spit. Speak, probe, interpret, think.
Okay, all right. I think that's a wrap for the day. And it was a fun topic. And I enjoyed it with you, Alex. And now uh, I'll let you close us out. I'm Mark with Spit. And goodbye.
Thanks, Mark. I had a blast exploring these big questions with you. And to everyone listening, keep thinking and questioning. I'm Alex, signing off with Mark. Until next time, take care.